Good morning. Hopefully everyone's able to hear me. Um, my name is Istiar Chowdhury. I'm a senior admissions counselor here at the University of Rochester. The original presenter, Mark Wells, who's our assistant dean, unfortunately is feeling under the weather, so he asked me to step in and give a presentation to you about the university, which I will have no problem doing. I also work a lot with international students. I myself was a graduate here from the university. I graduated in 2011, double majoring in chemical engineering and Chinese. So now a lot of my job is to head out to China. I just spent 5 weeks there and do recruitment there, read applications, as well as talk to the students, talk to the parents, and tell everyone about the University of Rochester. So it shouldn't be a problem for me to tell all of you here today what the university is about and why I had such a great time here, but why you will have a great time here as well if you come. So a little bit about the university. We are obviously located in the city of Rochester. It's a great place to be, third largest city in New York State. We're not close to New York City, however. It's a common misconception. People come here and they're like, oh, we're not in New York City. No, you're actually a lot closer to Toronto. We're in the northwestern part of upstate New York. However, there's still tons to do. You have all the shopping, the dining, concerts coming through town. Everything that you have in a big city, you have here in the city of Rochester. Right down campus, we're building a brand new campus town for students to hang out, so plenty to do off campus. At the moment, it did snow last night, so you're going to have all 4 seasons. Very nice distribution. So whether you like the snow, you hate the snow, you won't have to deal with it too much. We have tunnels on campus. But I know people are coming from all over the world. So good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're coming from, right? But just think a moment about right now how over the internet we're all able to connect. I'm coming right into your bedroom or right into your living room on your computer right now, and you have everyone from around the world coming together in this one place. Well, coming to the University of Rochester, you don't even have to get on your computer to do that. You can step right outside your door and you will have the whole world right in one place on your campus. You'll be able to meet them in person, talk to them, make friends with them. The University of Rochester is becoming what we call a global village. We're bringing people from not just all over the country, but all over the world. And this community is the first thing I like to highlight when I present about the university. Telling you what kind of people you're going to meet. Not only do we have all 50 states represented, but we have 96 different countries represented on our campus. Nearly 20% of our incoming class this year was international, and over 60% of students come from outside New York State. So we're becoming a very non-local school, a very diverse school, incredibly diverse. As I return to campus, we have visitors coming. They tell me not just how nice the people are here on campus, but how incredibly diverse it is. But what do we focus on? How do we create diversity on campus? It's not just about picking people from different places, bringing them to campus, putting them together, and saying we have nice numbers. What we really focus on here at the university is cognitive diversity, the way in how people think and the differences in how you think. We would like to create an environment where you arrive on campus and you're going to class, you're doing your activities, and you meet the person sitting next to you, the person sitting next to them, and the person sitting behind you. And each and every one of you has a different approach to solving a problem than the next, or a different perspective on a certain topic than the next person. A different way of thinking about things. You're going to agree with some people, you're going to disagree with your best friends even. And we want to expose you to all these different kinds of thinking while you're here right on campus. And so now it's natural to see how this comes about, not just bringing you from different places, people coming from China, people coming from India, from Europe, Africa, South America. All of you will have very different backgrounds, very different views, your personal stories. Some of you might have grown up in a village in the mountains your whole life. Other people are going to be coming from huge metropolitan cities, from London, from Beijing, from Delhi, from Tokyo, or even from New York City. And you're all going to come together. You're all going to have very, very different experiences and ways of looking at things. And so we bring you all together on campus. We focus on that cognitive diversity, and naturally that is developed by all your differences from geographic location, your socioeconomic background, your ethnic background, your cultural background. Even from within one country, different regions are going to have very, very different cultures and experiences. So that is what we like to focus on when bringing students here to the campus, and that is the type of community we create. Incredibly diverse, incredibly energetic, friendly, nice. Everybody's happy. But you're coming here, what is your campus like? So the campus itself is not located downtown. We are technically in the city of Rochester, but you don't walk out your door and you're not dealing with commuter traffic because the campus itself is located on the city limits, away from the center. We have a river on one side of the campus, so we're creatively called the River Campus. On the other side, we have a historic cemetery, the Mount Hope Cemetery, and we have some people very relevant to American history buried from Rochester because this is where they came from. Susan B. Anthony, who led the women's voting rights movement. Frederick Douglass, who was part of the anti-slavery movement. Both of those people were from Rochester. And we still have them here, but that creates a very quiet environment for the campus. It's bounded off from the city. Right across the street, we have a few other areas. We have the medical center. The University of Rochester Medical Center is a great facility. There's a children's hospital, a general hospital, cancer center, neuroscience center, dental school. All these facilities that undergraduate students get to go and take advantage of, which I'll talk about in a minute. But that's a resource right across the street. Right down a little south from campus, we have the South Campus. And that is where we have the Alumni Development Center, our laser laboratory for energetics, which is the second most powerful laser in the country, the ultraviolet laser in the country. And there, people are doing fusion research, trying to create alternative energy resources. But that is also another facility available for undergraduates to go and take advantage of. But those are our campuses on this side, sort of on the outskirts of the city. We do have a very special campus right downtown. For any of you who are interested in music, playing an instrument, singing, the University of Rochester is a huge attraction to people who play music or sing, because right downtown we have the Eastman School of Music, which is the top music conservatory in the world. People coming there, they're coming to be musicians, singers, professional performers after they graduate. But the huge attraction to musicians just coming to the River Campus and doing a regular Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Sciences is that as a student, any of you are allowed to go to Eastman and take free music lessons. So imagine that. You're going to Eastman, getting music lessons from the best musicians in the world, one-on-one. And something that you've probably been doing for quite a while. You come to college, you don't want to let that instrument go. You don't want to stop singing. It's some part of you that you want to keep as your identity. So it's a huge resource for students who come to campus. And something to keep in mind, if you're a musician or musical in any way, Rochester is a place to keep on your list. Before I move on, I notice a lot of questions are popping up. I will keep those in mind, and I'll leave about the last 20-15 minutes to answer questions. I'll read them out before answering this. So keep the questions coming. I'm excited to see what you guys ask. So, I told you a little about the campuses, what the community is going to be like, but what is really going to make your Rochester experience unique? Why do people even come here? What keeps attracting students here? Well, it's a very unique academic experience, and you have plenty of research opportunities. So those are two things I always tell students to remember when they think of Rochester's name: our open curriculum and our research opportunities for undergraduate students. Now, what is this open curriculum concept? Sometimes maybe you've never heard about it before, or you're curious to know what it is, right? It's what sets us apart. Well, I like to think back to high school, all right? So sit back for a moment. When you went to high school, you had all these requirements that you had. English, math, science, maybe your native language, foreign language, right? All these requirements that you needed to graduate. And that's perfectly fine, right? You get exposed to a lot of different topics. You get a broad range of an education. But I'm pretty sure most, if not all of the people watching this presentation right now, you had a class that you just weren't that into. Or let's be honest, you didn't like that class, all right? And that's okay. We're all looking to go to university. You all have something that you love to learn. We all love learning, right? But there's some subjects which you're just not so enthusiastic about. It's okay. People have different talents in different areas, different interests, things that you like learning about. But when you're in an environment where the teacher has to divide his or her attention between the students in the front, who are excited, they're asking questions, they're engaged, and then the students sitting in the back, or sitting on the side next to the windows, right? Students who might not be so interested in the class. They're falling asleep, or they're reading another book. It creates a different kind of learning environment where the teacher's attention is divided in the end. So sometimes maybe you weren't so enthusiastic about people disrupting your learning experience, that didn't want to be there, right? And then you also had your own classes where you didn't want to be there. At the University of Rochester, we changed that entire learning philosophy and dynamic. We don't want you to come here and spend time taking classes that you're not interested in. So we let you do what you want. At the University of Rochester, I get people prepared for this. It's the most exciting part of this presentation, all right? Here at Rochester, you have no required classes. No requirements. So let that sink in for a little bit. If you don't want to take a mathematics class, you never have to take mathematics again. If you don't like English literature, you never have to take it again. If you don't like history, you'll never have to take it again. We have no core requirements. You come in your first year, you don't have to do any of those core requirements, gen ed requirements that a lot of schools do have, because we don't want you to go into a class and not want to be there. All right? We're not going to force you to take anything. So what that creates for you is a year, 2 years of opportunity to take classes you're interested in, explore what you like. All right? If you have no idea what you want to do, then Rochester is a great place for you. You come here, you can try out 5 or 6 different classes, all right? And then by the end of your second year is when you have to declare your major. And then you can decide what you like, declare your major by the end of your second year. We have a major declaration party. You get some cake, you get a party hat, you declare your major, everyone leaves happy, right? On the other hand, if you know exactly what you want to do by the time you get here, then Rochester's a great place for you. You can start taking those classes you're interested in, your physics classes, your engineering classes, those history classes, psychology. See if you really like what you think you want to study from your first year, all right? Don't wait till your second or third year to take those classes and then maybe figure out you're not so into them, all right? And so you can try those classes out early or try out different classes early on. No matter what, by the end of your second year, only then you have to decide what you're majoring in. In the meantime, you have your first year, you get here, you do have one required class. And I like to tell people about this, it's a fun class. It's a freshman writing course, all right? And because no matter what you do in college, you're going to have to write a paper. Whether you're a pure mathematician or a pure musician, you have to know how to write in all your classes here at Rochester. So we build that early on, your first year. And there's over 65 different topics to choose from. We want you to be writing research papers about something you like. Remember, Rochester is all about options and pursuing what you're interested in. So, several different topics. Science, the environment, philosophy, history, fairy tales, Harry Potter. All kinds of things for you to choose from for this writing class. But you get this writing class out of the way, and then you start taking other classes that you're interested in, right? But you're not going to come out of 4 years just with 32 random classes not knowing what you really did. Okay, we want you to have a major. You probably want a major. Who knows, your parents probably want you to have a major. So you declare your major by the end of your second year. And you're going to major. All of our classes, all of our majors fall into one of three divisions: the humanities, the natural sciences, and the social sciences. So your major will fall into one of these divisions. Uh, let's use an example. Say you're a chemistry major, all right? That'll fall into the natural sciences. Now, we don't want you to just take one type of class all 4 years. That's just as bad as taking classes you're not interested in, right? You need to sort of explore other areas, and you have other things that you're interested in when you come here. So besides the major that you division in, or the division that you major in, sorry, you're going to have to take what we call a cluster in the other two divisions. And a cluster is a set of 3 courses that revolves around a certain topic, a certain theme. So it could be a European history cluster, a women's studies cluster, a certain foreign language, a music cluster. It's still something that you're choosing to do in the other 2 divisions that you're not majoring in. So you have a major, 2 clusters that give you some grounding in another area. They're not just 3 introductory classes, all right? And put together, the major and 2 clusters comprise about 20 courses. Those are your requirements in terms of divisions, your course numbers, but you need 32 total classes to graduate. 32 minus 20, what do you do with the other 12 classes? You can do whatever you want, all right? You could take 12 different classes, explore things that you're interested in. Or you're taking your clusters in something you like, right? Why not build up on your cluster and do a minor, all right? Three classes for a cluster, another 3 makes a minor. Or students, very often at Rochester, they have very distinct interests. Things you wouldn't commonly put together. Engineering and music, history and neuroscience, all right? Economics and women's studies, maybe a little more related, but you have these very distinct interests, and students come to Rochester because that empty space makes it very easy to double major while you're here at Rochester. Over half the students double major, and several even triple major. We have a very enthusiastic senior interviewer in our office who's doing 4 majors at the moment. It is very possible, very easy to do here at the University of Rochester because of that open time you have, the flexibility. It is incredible, and you're still going to graduate in 4 years. Not really any extra work to do. You could get 2 majors and still be taking 32 classes, right? Your normal course load. But that doesn't mean you're just going to be taking your normal classes while you're here. You have lots of things you want to do. And so the students here keep very busy. They take on those extra classes because they're interested in them. They take on those activities because they want to do them. But the learning environment that's created while you're in class, everybody sitting in a class wants to be in that class. Everybody wants to be in that math class. Everyone wants to be taking that French class. Everyone wants to be learning about US history in that class, all right? So everyone wants to be there. Everyone is engaged. Everyone's passionate about what they're learning. And that brings the professors into every single class we have at the University of Rochester. Besides that writing class, which has to be taught by grad students because we have so many different options, but every other class is taught by a faculty member at the university because the professors are excited to come and teach excited students about the work that they do. Alright, so keep that in mind. Incredibly engaged learning experience. Talking with the people who are experts in their field in every one of your classes. Most of the classes are smaller, right? Most classes are under 20 students. You have a mid-sized student body here at the university, about 5,000 students. And so I like to tell students, you're coming to a mid-sized institution like Rochester, you get the best of both worlds, from a small university and a large university. You have all the resources of a large research institution, the funding, the labs, the professors, all the different major options, right? But there's only 5,000 students, and so you get a very personalized experience when you come here. The professors in class know who you are. Even if it's a larger intro class, the professors love getting to know the students. They'll sit there for 2 weeks, learning your name and matching it with your picture. The administrators remember who you are. You have plenty of opportunities. And so the next part I like to move into are the research opportunities, right? Uh, Remind you, the two things I told you to remember, you have the open curriculum and the research opportunities. And as an undergrad, you are going to be pummeled with research opportunities as you arrive here at the university. We love having undergraduates do research. And you're making connections with professors in your small classes, right? Doing things that you like to do, talking with them, learning about the research that professors do. And so, as you go on, right from your freshman year, if you have an idea for research or you want to explore what kind of research goes on in your field, you can go talk to professors inside class, outside of class, whether they have office hours, whether it's outside their office hours. Even if you have them for a class, you can just ask them what they do, all right? And so, no matter what division you're in, what department, what field you're doing, there are research opportunities. Very commonly, you think of research, someone puts on a lab coat, someone goes into a lab and makes something explode, right? Research happened. Well, at Rochester, we have plenty of that research going on, tons of labs, plenty of mice running around, but here at Rochester, we define research as the creation of new knowledge. So that doesn't just mean going into a lab and doing an experiment. It could be in history, it could be in the languages, literature, philosophy, women's studies, anthropology. Every single department here at Rochester has research going on because we are a national research university, a Tier 1 federal research institution, all right? So every professor here has to have some research going on. And what that means for the undergraduates is that you come here, you have a research opportunity, no matter what you're doing. As long as you're proactive about exploring it, you can go out, make connections with professors early on. You could do field work, study abroad, maybe go to a village and do some social science research. Or you could spend your time in the library, right, doing research about pirates or political systems in the early 1700s. And then you still have those great facilities for science and engineering research. You could engineer cures for new diseases over at the medical center, as I mentioned earlier. Or the laser laboratory, right? Maybe you're a mathematician making new models. Or you're a mechanical engineer figuring out how to best construct the new laser. But all of these research opportunities exist, and I love to tell the students just there are more opportunities for research here at Rochester than there are undergraduates to fill them. So no matter what you want to do, right from your first year, you don't have to wait till your third or your fourth year. You can start research right away and get that in-depth experience, all right? It's going to be great when you graduate. If you want to go on to graduate school, grad school is all about research. That's what they're looking for. People who have that research experience already, you're right in the door. If you're looking for a job, companies love people with that experience to go in depth, figure out what it takes to actually solve the key problem, right? Not just solving it on the surface, but really going in depth, taking that time, the endless nights, and then the endless days of actually having things not work, but continuing to try. So you have these research opportunities, you have a great open curriculum, your academic experience is going to be mind-blowing here at the university. You have so much freedom, so many opportunities, but what about student life, right? You're coming here, you're going to school, challenging classes, but we still have another component to university. It's not all just about sitting in a lab or sitting in the library and getting good grades. Students on campus are very engaged in student life. We are a residential campus, so your first year, your second year, you're required to live on campus. Your third and fourth year, you have the option to move off campus if you want, but it's so convenient, it's such a great experience living on campus that over 85% of all our students stay all 4 years. And that's a testament to how great campus life is. There are over 240 different clubs and organizations for students to take part in while they're here. That includes all our sports, right? Varsity sports, club sports, intramural sports. The usual sports like football, basketball, baseball, softball. And then you have the more college type sports, the fun sports, right? You have frisbee, you have Quidditch, and so a lot of things for you to do. But you also have creative arts, community service, sailing, horseback riding. All of these groups for you to participate on campus, and everyone's fully engaged outside of class. they're not going home over the weekend because, like I said, we are such an international campus. People are coming from so far away. It's not really easy to go home every weekend, right? By the time you fly home to India, you have to fly back home to get in class for Monday. And so they're on campus doing performances Friday nights, Saturday nights, dance groups, concerts, singing groups. You can go to Eastman, watch a concert, right? There's almost concerts every day. There's movies that happen on campus with the cinema group. Or you can go right down the block. By next year, we'll have a brand new campus town that's being constructed. There's going to be restaurants, apartments, a grocery store, a bookstore, everything that you need to hang out. So there's all this to do on campus. You're going to be very busy with classes that you're interested in taking. You choose the classes, and then you're going to be even busier outside of class with all these activities. You won't be able to choose which one to go to, all right? And that's the type of activity, that's the type of community you have on campus in terms of student life. What about the summer? And one of the #1 questions I usually get is internship opportunities, right? How do we help you? What do we provide for you? Well, I like to tell people at Rochester, you come here whether it's research or internships or doing an activity, we don't force anything down your throat, and nor do we just hand you things on a silver spoon, right? So you have to proactively take advantage of all the opportunities we have. For students interested in internships over the summer, we have a career and internship center. And there you get specialized advice. They help you prepare your applications, prepare for interviews, identify opportunities, network with our alumni. So whether you're in business or you're in engineering or you're in English, right, you want to go work for a publishing house, you're going to have opportunities and we're going to help you find something to do. And speaking from personal experience from my time as a student, none of my friends, no one that I knew, was ever sitting around over the summer. They had something to do. They were doing an internship or they were staying in Rochester to do research because there's so much to do here as well. It could be paid. It could be for credit during the year, right? So I like to emphasize that there are those opportunities for students. And then what about the international students? You guys are coming from all over the world. How are you going to adjust? How are you going to acclimate to this new environment? And it's a very important concern, I think, when international students come to a campus to really look at what services, what opportunities we provide to help you acclimate to this new environment. You're coming to a campus, maybe you've never even been to this country, right? You're going to live here for 4 years. You want to make sure it's the right place for you, and you're going to have the help if you need it. So we have an academic advisor dedicated to international students. Even in the admissions office, we start from right now. We have counselors dedicated to international students who specialize in this area. And then we have an international service office. They help with all the paperwork type stuff, per se. Your visas, your I-20s, getting a social security number so you can get work. You also have an international student mentor when you arrive on campus. How great is that? You come to campus, we give you a friend, right? Someone to ask questions to learn about the facilities available on campus, whether it's as simple as where the dining hall is, where to get books from in the library, or the health services, going to see the doctor while you're on campus. You have this constant contact your first semester if you ever need. And then we even have an optional American culture class, all right? 2 credits. I myself want to take it, but I don't think I can. But you go to class, there's restaurants, there's trips to historic sites off campus, all right? To help you learn what American culture is about. But not to make you an American, right? To help you learn what the culture is about here, so maybe it's easier for you to relate and maybe easier for you to contribute back to our community. Because we're bringing you from far away, you're coming all the way here. Your international experiences and your contributions are just as valuable to us as it is that we provide you the liberal education experience that you get from coming to America. So remember all the support services, the very active student life, and then the academic experience, your open curriculum, research opportunities, and the global village. And so that's a lot of information about your experience at Rochester, what you're going to get when you come here. But after that, how do you actually get here, right? Well, we have some special programs I like to mention before I go into the application process. You have 5-year accelerated programs. If you're interested in masters, in a master's in engineering, a master's in education, and you know that right now, you could apply for 5-year accelerated programs starting from the application process. We have combined admissions programs for medical students. An 8-year program, you do your undergraduate and then you go straight to medical school. These are some special admissions programs, and if you have specific questions about them, you can visit our website or ask me after the presentation. But postgraduate opportunities, or not really postgraduate, but post-4-year opportunities, we have a special program called Take 5 that I like to highlight, and I believe it really speaks to our commitment of letting the students do what you're interested in. Take 5 is a 5-year program. You have to be on track to graduate in 4 years, all right? But then you have an interest that you just didn't have time to do. You were so busy doing your math classes or your history classes that you never had time to take that one subject on your mind. Maybe it was American Sign Language, or it was European history, or psychology, right? You were too busy the rest of the 4 years to do that. And so you can put together a proposal and tell us you want to study something just for the sake of learning. You're not going to get another degree. You're not going to graduate late. You're just curious and you love to learn. And so what Take 5 is an extra tuition-free 5th year to learn things just because you want. All right? You come to us, you tell us you didn't have time. That's our commitment to letting you finish what you're interested in and developing your passions while you're in college here at Rochester. You don't have to go somewhere else and finish it off. Do it while you're in college. Do it while you have such a supportive, such a passionate learning environment. All right? So a little bit about our 5-year program, so there's accelerated degree, or Take 5, giving you extra time. But the application process, I'd like to touch upon this briefly because there are several questions that surround it. And whether you're applying this year or whether you're preparing in future years to apply, it's good to get a handle on it, good to get a start, because every college in the United States has different requirements. And it's good to keep track of not only what you need to submit, but what the philosophy is in looking at applications. And so we are a common application school. You'll have to go to the common application, submit your application here. But your package overall is going to consist of about 4 things. You will have your standardized test scores, your transcripts, your recommendation letters, and your personal statement. And these are all aspects you're going to be asked for in the common application. You'll have a checklist when you go through on our website for the international students as well. There's a couple extra components, requirements that you need to submit. But these are things we're going to look at. And how do we look at each of these? Well, your standardized test scores. We have a pretty unique philosophy here in that we are test flexible. So I like to start off by telling people the SAT, sometimes it's the greatest experience of your life, right? You wake up early one morning, you run into the examination hall, taking the test is like a party, and you come out feeling like the best person in the world, right? Not many people I met felt that way. So if you did well on the SAT, great. You take it once or twice. We don't want you to have to focus on a single exam and a single number to feel like that is what your entire future depends upon. So if you're not thrilled with the SAT, or sometimes you don't have the opportunity to take the SAT, right? Sometimes you have to go to another country even. It's not the easiest. We allow other tests to be substituted in place of the SAT. You could take the ACT, not very revolutionary. Lots of schools in America will also take that. But you could substitute SAT subject tests instead. Maybe you do better in physics and biology than you do in the general test. Or you could substitute AP scores, predictive A-level scores, predictive IB scores. Lots of students have different curricula that they come from. Or for students coming from an international, sort of national curriculum, you could submit your local test scores, right? Whether you're coming from India or the Middle East or China, you probably all have high school, college entrance exams that your government issues. If you want to send us those scores, that's perfectly fine as well. And you can visit our website, see what kind of tests we do accept from different countries. And if your country isn't listed, then we always welcome you to email our office or email myself if you like. You can look up all our information on our website, see if we accept your test. And most likely, we'll do it as long as it's a standardized test demonstrating your college preparation. So we'd like to take off the emphasis from one test because maybe you'll do great on it, maybe not. If you took all kinds of different tests, send them all in to us because we will look at the best tests and the best scores that you have to offer. We're looking for reasons to admit students. We're not going to spend time looking for your lowest scores, your worst scores. Our job is to find the best that you have to offer through each component of your application. Besides your standardized test score, you'll also have an English testing requirement if you're an international student. So TOEFL, IELTS, and there's a few other options that we accept as well. But we have no minimum scores, no minimum cutoffs for you to apply. So when you look at our website, you look at statistics, you'll see ranges, you'll see scores. These are just to serve as guides, all right? There's always people outside these ranges, always people below that minimum, right? There's no minimum to apply, there's no minimum to get accepted. We're going to look at your whole package in a holistic process because you're a person. You're not just a test score. You have your story to tell. You're going to have a contribution that you could make to campus. That's what we're going to look for. So after your test scores, we look at your transcripts. And it's going to be 4 years of your high school experience. So that's 4 years before you graduate, including your 12, 11, 10, and 9. Different countries have it set up in different ways. So this might include maybe some middle school years, right? But just make sure you have 4 years of your academic experience for us to look at. And we're looking for you to take challenging classes. We want to see if you've challenged yourself in the environment available to you. So that means if you're at a local school and you don't have any A-levels or AP exams, right, we're not going to expect you to have 20 of those on your transcript because those opportunities weren't available to you. We'll be looking at you in the context of your environment, the context of your school. But we will be looking to see if you had some upper-level challenging classes. Did you take those? Or did you just take regular classes? You didn't look to challenge yourself? Or were there special circumstances surrounding your academic experience? We're going to look at all these things to see if you're prepared, you're self-motivated to go and take on challenging classes, to branch out, all right? Because you're going to come to Rochester. We're not going to tell you what to do, but whatever classes you take, they'll be challenging. And you have to be motivated to go and take on these classes. Next are your recommendation letters. These are usually the easiest part for students because you don't have to do anything. You just pick one from a guidance counselor or someone similar. Some schools don't have a guidance office, right? Someone who can speak to your overall academic experience, all 4 years. Talk about how you developed, maybe challenges you faced, explain how the school works. That's how your guidance recommendation is going to be. And then a recommendation from a teacher. And a teacher is going to talk about what kind of student you are in the classroom, what their relationship has been. Somebody who knows you well. It doesn't have to be from someone famous, right? If it's from someone famous who doesn't know you at all, it's just as useless as not submitting a recommendation at all because we can't learn anything about you. So we need at least 2 recommendation letters. Most students like to submit 3. You can choose another teacher, or we have a family or friend recommendation option as well. So you have all these options for recommendations. 3 is a good number. Don't submit 10, don't submit 20. It makes it hard on us, and eventually they'll all say the same thing. This person is great, please admit them. We get it. But those are 3 components of your application you really have no control over. You can't go back to 10th grade and change your grades. You take your exam once or twice, your scores are your scores, and you don't even write your recommendations, right? You don't even see them. But the 4th component is where you get to mold what your application looks like, what your experience is, who you are. This is your personal statement. And your personal statement is about you, all right? It's not about your grandmother. It's not about a famous historic person. It's not about the American Civil War or something like that. It is about you and your experiences, how you've grown. If you talk about something else, then it's about how that experience or person has impacted you, not how that person grew up or was impacted, all right? It has to be about you. This is your chance to tell us who you are, what your passions are, what you're interested in, right from your heart, all right? I like to tell students, you wake up one morning, you're feeling great, and then you know why it's the best day in the world. There's rainbows in the sky's blue, the birds are singing, and you know what you love, what you're interested in. Just sit down and start writing those things down. Even if it's not your final draft, those are going to be the things you write about, all right? No guidebooks, no templates, no example essays, nothing is going to be able to write as well as you about yourself and what you like. And a lot of you are international students, maybe English is your second language. It's okay. It doesn't have to be tip-top perfect. There's a few spelling mistakes, a few grammar mistakes. It's all right as long as we can follow it and tell who you are. But it has to be done by yourself and really in your style. If you're funny, be funny if you want. If you're not funny, don't try being funny. It usually doesn't work out so well. But keep that essay about yourself. Let us get to know you. And then all 4 of these are tied together by a highly, 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 highly recommended 5th component. And that's an admissions interview. It's optional. You're not going to be penalized if you don't do the interview. But we highly recommend it because it gives us the chance to have a conversation with you, to really tell us there's a person behind this piece of paper. This is what their personality is like. And then it gives you a chance to ask questions of us. It gives us a chance to ask questions for you. Why do you want to come here, right? They're all very easy questions. We don't ask questions about what kind of tree you would be, if you could be a tree. They're all about you, what you like to do, what you've been doing. And so it's like history class. If you could read about if you could talk to the people you're reading about, get to know them a lot better. You could ask really interesting questions, right? And be a very interesting class. And it makes our application reading process a lot more interesting as well if you interview. So we travel all over the country and all over the world to give you the opportunity to interview. Obviously, it's a little hard to visit every single country, right? But you can double check where we're visiting, where we plan on going by going to our website, looking at the interview slots, go to Meet Your Representative or Rochester in your area, and you can see if we're offering interviews locally. Or you can request a Skype interview, right? A phone interview. If you go into your MyRock account, we love doing Skype interviews for international students because it gives us a chance to talk to them. You're all over the world, right? And just like right now, I'm speaking to you from Rochester. Even if I don't get to talk to you in person, we still get to talk to each other face to face. So request a Skype interview or a phone interview. If it takes writing us a letter and sending a little picture for us to put on our desk, then do it, alright? Give us that chance to talk to you and to know you. But that is about it for what I have about the application process, your experience at Rochester. Hopefully it was helpful for you. But for the next 20 or so minutes, I'd like to go through the questions that are coming up and see if I could hopefully answer them for you. So, okay. Here's the first question from T. Milo, and it's a very common question actually, so good question. Wondering if there are any full scholarships for international students. And so financial aid is a very important topic, right? And we like to speak to this because it's a very common question. All students at the University of Rochester, when you apply, you are eligible for merit scholarships, all right? And a merit scholarship isn't based on need, right? Need-based aid is for U.S. citizens or permanent residents, so that application process is separate. You don't need to worry about it, but there are still merit scholarships. So when you apply, everyone is automatically reviewed. We assume everyone wants a scholarship, and so we look at it holistically, just as we would make your admissions decision. And there are several different scholarships available, starting from several thousand. We do have a Global and Renaissance Scholars Program, but there's no separate application process for you. You just submit your application, and we'll do our job in terms of evaluating your eligibility for a scholarship. We look at everything. We look at your academics. We look at your experiences, your background, the challenges you've faced, and we make that determination. If you're eligible for multiple merit scholarships, then you're awarded the highest one that we pick. And then you'll get your admissions decision in the mail. So make sure you have your mail coming to a reliable place. And then your scholarship information would show up a week to 10 days afterwards when you get your admissions decision. So we do have merit scholarships available, but it's an automatic process. There's nothing extra that you have to do. So just submit your application. The next question, another scholarship question. A question about training courses in English language. So whether we provide English language training after you get here. We don't exactly have a pre-college year of intensive English training, if that's what you're looking for, nor do we have conditional admission, anything like that. However, we do have English for Academic Purposes program, where if we consider you qualified for admission, able to handle the classes, the course load at Rochester, maybe you need a little brushing up on your English, right? So we would make that determination during the admissions process and let you know whether it's recommended or required. But there are some special writing courses. Remember that first year writing course? There are different levels. And so we could have you take a year of writing courses that are more intended to help you solidify your English language skills, while maybe you take some classes that aren't as English intensive. So there are programs like that, but nothing full-blown in terms of bringing you and giving you a complete year of English prep. We don't have anything there. So you will have to be mostly qualified and prepared to handle the courses here at Rochester by the time you arrive. Questions about graduate school, graduate programs. I am a counselor for the undergraduate admissions office, and that is actually what we focus on here. We welcome you. Thank you for listening. And if you are interested in the graduate school, the best advice I can give you right now, if you have questions about graduate school, whether it's the business school, the school for education, or any of the graduate departments, is contact that department directly, because each graduate department handles its admissions independently, and they're the ones who are going to be able to answer questions about their scholarships or about their financial assistance, their admissions process. So if you need help finding contacts, you're welcome to contact us, but we are going to help you contact the department responsible for that graduate program. So the business school, I'd encourage you to visit the Simon Business School. They have an admissions office, the Warner School, and then each department as well. So let's see what other questions we have. Oops. How much is tuition and other fees? The cost of attendance, including tuition and all boarding, eating, living expenses that you'll have at Rochester, comes out to about $60,000 US per year at the moment. And that's all inclusive. Not only the tuition, but also your room and board, your dorms, your food, and then it also takes into account the expenses you'll have for textbooks or for just buying daily living requirements, right? Soap, a comb. Good questions. Good questions. Do we have master's programs? There are master's programs and both PhD programs. Like I said, requirements and how to apply are going to be answered by the graduate departments. Is biomedical engineering offered at our college? Yes. We do have biomedical engineering. It's a great program. And not only do we have the undergraduate building and the labs and facilities, but you have the medical center right across the street, right? So great facilities, great opportunities for research, and all types. There's different branches within the biomedical engineering program. It's a very strong program, very popular. I would encourage you to explore the department webpage, right? They'll have all the students talking about it, what kind of projects they do. Also electrical engineering. We do have electrical engineering as well. We have several types of engineering, all types of majors. If you visit our website, you can find the complete list of undergraduate majors offered at the school. All right. Oh, we have Asmain from Bangladesh, who I've actually kept up correspondence with. Can you take a completely different course than your major for the 5th year? For example, for Take 5. The Take 5 program is actually required for you to be different from your major. So during your 5th year, you can't take something related to your major. If you're doing chemistry, you can't go and do biochemistry for your 5th year. It has to be unrelated to your major. That's the whole point of Take 5, actually, to make sure that you're doing something brand new outside of your field. You're branching out, and it's something that you're interested in. And so that's a great question, actually. Yes, you are required to do something that is unrelated to your major field so that you can explore and learn about. You can go study abroad for a semester during your 5th year if that's what you want to do as well for your Take 5. Do we have a varsity soccer team? We do have a varsity soccer team. We have about 15, 17 different varsity sports on our campus, and those are also available through our website. If you're interested in seeing which ones we have, which ones you might be interested in playing for. More questions about scholarships. Like I said, you are all eligible for merit-based scholarships, and so there will be a review process, automatic, as we look through the applications. Nothing extra for you to do. Is there a minimum or maximum range of age to submit an application? There is not. Uh, most of our students come in right out of high school, right? But there are also transfer applicants who maybe completed some college and then want to transfer here, whether it's immediately or whether they've spent several years outside of school already. There's no age limit on admissions. You are allowed to apply. The difference between applying as a freshman applicant and a transfer applicant will be whether you've completed any postgraduate work after high school. So even if you've taken a single class after high school at a college or an institution of secondary learning, you will be applying as a transfer student, and you will have to submit that information from the classes you've taken. Very good question. Thank you for that. Skyping, talking face-to-face. We do have Skype interviews, like I mentioned. You go into your MyRock account and you can request those. And it's a great opportunity. We do limit Skype interviews, or any interviews really, to current seniors that are applying to the University of Rochester. Or, sorry, given the last question, not necessarily seniors, but applicants to Rochester for the next cycle. So whether it's for the spring or the fall next year, those are currently who we're offering interviews to. And so you could request a Skype interview or see if we're visiting locally anytime soon. Moving on. Do we have a Master's of Science in Finance? Like I said, those are best dealt with by the graduate school, but you can also visit our graduate department's webpage, the graduate school, and see what kind of master's and PhD programs we offer in those fields. How can you contact the departments? Great question. The easiest way is to go to our main website, or even Google, and type in University of Rochester and the appropriate department, and that department webpage will come up. They'll have all their contact info. Usually they'll have the person who deals with undergraduate students as well as the person who deals with graduate students, and that will be the most appropriate contact. Moving on. Where can you find the applications? Great question. So, for students who need to really start learning how to do the application, right? See what we need. You can first visit our website and look at the requirements for international freshman applicants or even international transfer applicants. Those requirements are on our website, and it's a great checklist to see what you need to get submitted in order to complete your application. And then I would suggest creating a MyRock account, and then you will have to go to the Common Application. I would recommend just Googling it as well. Go to the Common Application website and start your application there. And when you complete the application, you can go to your MyRock account and keep track of what materials you've submitted. And so making sure your application is on track to be completed. Because if you never complete your application, we'll send you some emails, right, reminding you need to submit some materials. But you are ultimately the one responsible for making sure it's complete so that we can read it. We cannot offer you any type of decision unless your application is completed. So please, please, please take a good look at that checklist on our website and then create a MyRock account. You can always keep track of what's submitted, what's been received by our office, whether your application is complete. And then we love transparency in this office. So you can see if your application is with your first reader, when it goes on to your second reader, or if it goes on to committee. All right, and committee will happen if your first two decisions disagree, then it goes on to the third step. So keep track of it before and after your application is complete to make sure we have everything. Thank you for all your questions. Very good questions. Let me see if I missed any. Again, requirements for international graduate students to get scholarships. These will be addressed by the graduate departments, unfortunately, not by our office, since we focus on undergraduate admissions here. So again, contact those graduate departments. Oh, do we have another question here? Whoops. All right, so another question about the PhD program in economics. Minimum requirements, financial aid policy. Again, you will have to contact the economics department for this, and their graduate secretary will be able to answer your questions. Just go to our website, look for the economics department, and it'll come right up. You can find their contact info on our website. Any other questions that I can help address? We have a few more minutes left here. I want to make sure all of you get the chance to ask your questions and get them answered. Another question about graduate scholarship opportunities for electrical engineering. Again, please, please, please contact the electrical engineering department. They will be able to answer those for you, and very happy as well. It's our job to talk to the students, answer your questions. If you send your SAT subject test result in January, will it impact your admission decision? First, it's very important when in January you send it and which deadline you've applied for. We have 3 application deadlines. There's early decision, which has passed. It's usually November 1. There's priority review, which is December 1, and you hear back by mid-February. And then regular decision is January 1. If you take your exam in January, you want to rush those scores to us right after you've taken it. It would make it in time. But if you already have test scores included with your application, and you're retaking the test in January, your application will be marked as complete and go into the reading queue once you submit that application. And so if you would like us to consider those test scores you take in the beginning of January for your application, shoot us an email, let us know. If we've already read your application, we won't go back and read it, but if you let us know to hold off, we will keep track of that for you. If it's your only test, on the other hand, if you have no test with your application still, by the time you've submitted, we will be waiting for those scores to come in before we review the application. Minimum SAT scores required to get accepted. As I mentioned before, and I love to emphasize this, there are no minimum test scores required to get accepted, or to apply for that matter. So please remember that. We review everything. If you're stronger in one area than another, maybe it makes up. Everyone's a different person. Everyone has a different profile. But there are no minimum scores. We have a holistic review process. We have a question from a 4th-year civil engineering student who still has 3 semesters to graduate. Is it possible to get a scholarship to continue the education at Rochester and modifying subjects that I've studied? So I'll address it as a transfer question. Is it possible to transfer here to Rochester and major in something else? Correct? And still get scholarships. Transfer applicants are reviewed for merit scholarships in the same way. Nothing extra for you to do. In terms of transferring and changing your subject, this late in the process, it might be a little difficult. Transfer students are required to stay at Rochester for a minimum of 2 years. And so there is that requirement. And coming in that late, it might be a little difficult to change your major at this point. But coming in earlier, you would get a little bit of flexibility. And if you have further questions, more specific, I encourage you to email me, since we are running a little bit short on time. And I want to make sure we have time to address the last couple questions. How many Bangladeshi students do we have at university? I myself, my mom was from Bangladesh. I'm part Bangladeshi. But to be honest, I can't answer that spot on at the moment. We have a handful. I would say between 10 to 20 to 30. There's also graduate students. Graduate students make them a much larger component. But there's definitely a Bangladeshi community here with cultural activities taking place. Do we have a rugby club? We do have a rugby club. Great question, and you can take part in it, almost anyone. Email, please do visit our website. You can email us at one moment. There's our main email at the front desk at, I should know this right from the top of my head. But emailing our front desk, you will be able to get in touch with us, no problem. And if you stay online throughout the rest of the day on College Week Live International Day, we will have counselors answering questions, including myself, about emails if you want them, contact info, or any other questions that you have. And can international students be considered for more than one merit scholarship? Yes, you can. All students, if you're considered for more than one merit scholarship, you will be awarded the highest scholarship that we decide you're awarded. So you'll only get one, but you could be considered for multiple. So it's coming up to 9 o'clock, and I want to thank all of you for coming today and listening to the presentation. I hope I could answer a lot of your questions. Like I said, we will be online live all day, including myself. Please do come and ask us all your questions. My colleagues will be very happy to answer them for you as well. Thanks again, and have a good night, have a good day, whichever it is over there.